Hi, it's Pastor Steve. We're continuing our journey cover to cover. Today is January 16, and we're going to be looking at Genesis chapter 42 to chapter 45. Before I get into the passage, I just want to point out, if you miss a few days, there's a temptation to throw in the towel and say, I just can't keep up with the chronological Bible. Forget the past, press on starting today. You will pick up once again. And you will gain so much because you're continuing your reading journey. So keep that in mind. Even if you get bogged down, you don't have to, in some legalistic fashion, go back in time, read the 20 passages you missed, and then start again. You can start today. I give you grace. You have my absolving you of sin for not finishing. Enjoy your reading day by day. Now, today we're looking at a passage which unfolds Joseph testing his brothers. In this, he wants to see how his brothers have fared over the years, how his father is doing, but he wants to see if his brothers are repentant. Now, when Joseph was sold into slavery, it looks like he was about 17 years old, and now 22 years has gone by. And so that gives us a perspective of how long he hasn't seen his brothers. And so it's a good question to raise. Are my brothers repentant? Now here's the question though. Why all this ruse? I mean, I get the idea of testing them. It makes some sense. Did they really change over these years? Or are they just as evil as they were before? But to the level he does it, and then an innocent, his younger brother Benjamin, putting the silver cup in his bag and then risking his father Jacob having a heart attack and dying when, the risk of Benjamin not being there. And you look at these things and you say, haven't you gone too far, Joseph? Now, do you want to know the answer is? We don't know. All we have is what we have in the text. Did Joseph go too far? I would say he probably did. But I also realize that the camera is rolling, this is narrative, and this is what happened. And so we're getting a glimpse of that. Now, what I want to point out to you in this section is a focus on Genesis chapter 45, verse 5, in which Joseph says this very profound statement. You sold me into slavery, but it was God's intention for this to happen. This is a very important theological verse because there's a lot of stuff that happens in our lives that we do not understand. Some of it is difficult, some of it is bad. And yet Joseph says, apparently it was God's choice all along. I look at different things in my life and I see the hands of God. My brother died in 2001. Difficult time for our family, particularly for my parents. And do I have an answer why God took my brother at an age 50? I don't have a perfect answer, but I can tell you this. Just a few years later, now I'm a pastor in New York. And now this church is considering whether to give their building to us. And here's what happened. My brother attended that church. It was now collapsing. It was now very, very tiny. But when I came along from a different church and said, we'd love to take over your facility, they thought, we knew your brother. We liked your brother. And maybe you would be a good steward of this church. Is that the reason my brother died and now I'm here and now I'm having the chance to take ownership over this church? I don't know what God's full plan is, but I do know this, that my brother's passing and that church's love for my brother was part of the reason why that church was willing to give us the keys. What happened, that church was down to 17 people. And that same location this past Sunday had 1,000 people worshiping in it. I don't know all of what's behind God's thinking, but I believe what Joseph said is absolutely true, that God has an tension between what's going on in our life. And what happens in Genesis 45, verse 5, is to say it was God. Hey, good stuff to learn. Let's press on, keep reading. We'll see you tomorrow.